undermine the Constitution? I'm curious.
Attacks on the First Amendment, attacks on the Second Amendment. Just go down the list.
What attack on the First Amendment?
She's advocated for, people shouldn't be able to say things, attacks on free speech.
I have. Okay, I have never heard that. We've covered her a lot.
As part of this whole fake news environment, which is totally ironic, because the people who, by sins of omission, didn't report things, biggest propaganda machine going on. When something contradicts the stated propaganda, that's fake news. The Washington Post got called on it. The LA Times got called on it. Barack Obama complains about fake news in an interview with Rolling Stone, who just paid a $5 or $10 million lawsuit for fake news. So if you look at who's talking about the fake news and look at their track record.
So I understand you. Are you saying Hillary Clinton has produced fake news?
Oh, definitely. They've propaganda, misdirection. Yeah,
What examples do you have for that?
I don't have any right here. I would.
So it's more your sense of things.
No, I get you. At a certain point, you stop keeping track. I mean, there's an irony here that they're talking about Trump being Putin's puppet, when the Clinton Foundation had connections through the foundation and allowed for the sale of uranium to Russia. As far as foreign influence, the Clinton Foundation is full of foreign influence. And the Obama administration they had the State Department give money to a group of Israeli peace activists who turned around and interfered with the Israeli elections. From the email dumps, how the Clinton administration tried to interfere. The Clinton campaign tried to interfere with the Republican primary process.
Wait a second, let me stop you. Those email dumps came from Russian hacks, right?
We don't know where they came from. We don't. We simply don't.
You reject what the CIA has been saying about this? Which has a lot of Republicans in it, of course.
Well, the CIA said it, but that's not. It may be a CIA thing, but it's not necessarily a consensus of all the intelligence communities. And it comes down to say, okay, who exactly said? You have a spokesman. They say people have this evidence. Where's the evidence? Name the evidence, the specific people, and if this is a danger to the country, why haven't these people been arrested? Why hasn't this been made public?
Would you like to see, as Senator McCain has been saying, and Senator McConnell and Senator Graham, these are Republicans, that they'd like to see a select committee of hearings about the Russian influence on our election?
Oh, it's definitely, it's definitely there, but it's got to be basically bipartisan in a sense.
Well, I know the Democrats would certainly be enthusiastic for hearings, and you have Republicans who want to do it as well. That's bipartisan.
Yeah, but the fact that Hillary has an email server that's prone to hacks, nobody was concerned about that. That wasn't an issue.
Well,
it wasn't an issue.
The hacks we're talking about are Democratic National Committee hacks, not her Gmail account.
Yeah, but then the question comes, where do those who hacked that? There's so much ambiguity and smoke being thrown around here.
So would you like to see hearings looking into this type of thing, or just
I'd like to see hearings.
What to you would represent the success of a Donald Trump presidency? What promises do you think he's made that he needs to keep in order to keep your support 4 years from now? What are you looking for specifically?
I'm a constitutionalist, and like I say, he's ambivalent about the Constitution, but he's not going to tear it down. He's not going to tear down. He's not going to tear down the country. There's plenty of. He lacks the directed contempt that Hillary has shown. Refers to people as deplorables. The fact that Obama continues to show contempt. Obama sits there and refers to the Electoral College as a vestige of an older time.
My question was, what do you think Donald Trump needs to do to maintain your support 4 years from now? What are you looking for? For example, the better jobs thing, getting folks better jobs?
I would like to see an adherence to the Constitution. And that's going to be a struggle, not the struggle that you would get from a Democrat. The Democrats, it would be tough to come up with the worse candidate than Donald Trump, but somehow the Democrats did it. So I as a conservative, I want to make sure that the party stays in a conservative format towards that Constitution, and that will be a struggle in itself as opposed to a group that is actively.
Suppose Bernie Sanders had won the nomination, not Hillary Clinton. Could you see yourself as supporting him?
No.
So you're really a Republican?
I'm a conservative. Bernie Sanders, he's a communist. Simply a communist. You go through his history and do a quick search. He's a communist.
Wait a minute. Vladimir Putin's a communist.
Yes, so is Bernie Sanders.
Okay. So theoretically, by your definition, Bernie Sanders would be a better buddy of Vladimir Putin than anybody?
I don't know if he'd be better or worse than Hillary. If you go back to all the Republican debates and the discussions and everything, how many questions were based on the Constitution? Very little. That wasn't the narrative. I missed a lot I was actually out of state for most of the general season. I left after the primary season. So I missed a lot of the nuances and stuff. But I'm sure what I would see of the debate.
Were you out of the country? You're out of the country?
No, I took a cross-country trip.
Oh, wonderful.
Went all the way to the East Coast and back, and I went down to Washington, D.C. and turned around and saw the beauty of the country and renewed interest in the history of the country and what made the country great, and came back after the primary season and getting ready to look what my next goal is. But
would you like to see a wall along the Mexican border paid for by the Mexican government?
If it would be nice, but it's not necessary. A lot of things can be done electronically, and it's a matter of will. It's a wall is kind of it's kind of an icon that people may connect to, but it's more of a will. You just have to decide. It's like anything. You can do it. You just have to decide if you want to do it. And a wall would be part of that, but with electronic surveillance. Once you just first have to decide that that's what you want to do, then you decide how to do it.
Now, let's suppose that President Trump makes good on his promise to repeal Obamacare, which I would imagine you would favor, but then he says he's going to replace it with something better, keeping all those 22 million people who receive Obamacare getting health insurance coverage. What is that replacement?
I'm going to steal a line from someone.
Go right ahead.
The Republicans should just say, we'll pass it, then we'll see what's there. When Obamacare was passed, nobody knew what was in it. So why do the Republicans have to come up with their substitute plan when the Democrats never explained their substitute plan? I think what I'd like to see is a full repeal. I'd like to see a full repeal first, then have a debate about the replacement and make the Democrats take a stand on that replacement. So moving forward, they will be faced with a choice. Okay, do you want this compromise solution, or do you want not do anything at all? But if you repeal Obamacare, get a fresh slate, then move forward, what are we going to do for it? If they can fall back on this thing, and they'll fall back on it. If they block legislation for any additional changes, they need to take that responsibility. It's like all the thing about blocking the budget. Congress does not block the budget and all these government shutdowns. Once that goes to Obama's desk and he refuses to sign it, that's the shutdown. Now, Congress has done their side, so you need to force the other side to make a decision and take responsibility.
What do you do for health care?
I just now got on Medicare.
So this is not a problem for you?
No, but it's my wife is still, she'll be on it soon, but it's a concern for my children and grandchildren and the institutions as a whole. It's I wouldn't be fighting a lot. I get activists, and I wouldn't be fighting these battles if it wasn't for my kids and grandkids. I'm not a wealthy man, but I could coast through the end of my life and watch all this nonsense go by.
What about the 22 million people who have coverage who might be thrown off coverage once it's repealed?
I not disputing that number, but I don't know if that's a valid number because so many ridiculous numbers have been thrown out.
Let's say it's 2 million people, or let's say it's 100,000 people.
Okay. Then Republicans pass a piece of legislation to address that, and if the Democrats want to reject it, they reject it. The point is that the Democrats always take the offense and put the Republicans on defense. And I'm saying it shouldn't be that way. The Republicans should set the agenda and take responsibility of this, move forward, and if the Democrats want to block it, they need to take it.
That could be your kid or your grandkid who's kind of all of a sudden maybe working freelance or doing something like that. They want to have coverage.
In short, I would think you should be able to address those 2 million or
22 million or whatever.
Or 22 million without destroying the system for the other 300 million. So why do you have to reconstruct a system for 320 million to address, let's say, 20 million? I've got a math background by training, so why are you disrupting the 94% to address the 6%? Why not just address the 6% without destroying that of the 94%?
Well, those 94% are still covered, or actually more like 82%, but they still had their existing coverage, right?
Could be.
Okay, well, what do you think of the point of this? Do you think this is, as a constitutionalist?
The point of this is just to make a show and delegitimize the Trump, the Trump election. For one thing, even if Trump doesn't get the majority, it will go to the House, and the House will vote by delegation. And at last count, there were 32 Republican delegations and 17 Democrat delegations. Maine was up in point. So if Trump doesn't get the majority, it goes to the House, and Trump's going to get it anyways. This is all for show. This is all for show. It's all to delegitimize an issue that they don't like. So,
do you think President Obama was born in the United States?
I don't know.
After all this, Donald Trump says that actually it turns out he was born in the U.S.
All right. It's a moot point. The country has to have the will. There are plenty of impeachable offenses, and Congress chose not to impeach them.
Okay.
Now, if I'm hesitant on some of these details, I don't say these things knowing I couldn't back it up. But I tell people I have to be right about what I say because people are always gunning for me. So I'm hesitant to make assertions.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm really grateful to get your point of view.
Yeah.
Because we're seeking a. Okay. Well, I guess they want us to go upstairs.
Okay.
Very nice talking to you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it. All right.